Hello! Welcome to a little bit of a different video from me today. As you can tell by the title, I do still have my beautiful books behind me because this is the nicest background in the flat and also this is the best sound in the flat. Although this is the second time I'm filming this because once again my microphone decided that it did not want to work properly. But never mind. This video I want to show you my brand new pair of skates and give you a little bit of a tour to them and also speak a little bit about why I bought them, why I bought this specific pair, etc, etc. So first things first, I have been skating now since January of 2022 properly. I got my skates originally in the summer, end of summer of 2021, but I didn't start properly skating until January 2022 when I started doing lessons. And then in January of this year, I bought myself a pair of Moxie Lolly skates, and this is what I've been skating on throughout the course of this year. And I really like these skates, but there's a couple of things with them. Firstly, there's not a lot of ankle support going on in them, which I will show you. And so I was having some difficulty in finding my edges because my feet naturally roll inwards. I have high arches, but I roll in so that I'm practically flat-footed, which means that I can find my inside edge pretty easily, but finding my outside edge is quite difficult, especially on a boot like the Lolly where you have to put all of the pressure into the plate because the boot itself isn't really helping you find that edge. If you usually watch my book content and you don't skate, some of this might be a bit technical, so apologies for that. The other reason is that I wanted to have a pair of skates dedicated for outside skating and one for inside skating, pretty much because I'm lazy and couldn't be bothered to keep changing my wheels out all the time. I do have other pairs of skates, but I found myself always gravitating towards my Moxie Lollies because they're a more premium skate and my other skates are the cheap ones, so the cheaper beginning skates. So I'm actually selling a couple of pairs of my sort of more beginner skates, and so decided to get a new pair of skates so I could have one set for inside and one set for outside. Probably what I'll end up doing is having my Moxies as my outside skate because edges won't matter too much to me for quite a while with outside skating because I'm still really nervous about it. I'm a nervous skater anyway and I progress quite slowly, but I'm particularly nervous outside, so it's probably better for my lollies to be outside because I'm not so worried about my edges. So that's the reason for me buying this particular pair of skates. I have already unboxed them and I have already changed the wheels, which I will speak to you about in a little while, but let's get into this kind of what's in the box, what skates did I get thing. So first of all, this is the box. These are skates from GH Skates, which is an American skate brand that has existed since the late 60s. They have predominantly been making ice figure skates, but they've more recently been making quad and inline skates. They've been doing that for a few years and they have a number of different models and they have lots of customization features. So you have the choice of the style of boot, the colour of the boot. You can have one boot a different colour to the other. You can have the boots half one colour and half the other colour and the other side completely different again. So it's a little bit like Rydell in that sense in terms of the level of customization available. You've got the option of fibre compound plates or metal plates, and they have a couple of metal plate options. They have different axle size options. They have imperial, they have metric, they have big toe stops, little toe stops, jam plugs now are a recent introduction. You can choose your colour of laces, so it's all completely customizable, and they also do custom sizing, which you can pay a little extra for, and then you send them 14 pictures of your feet and they will then make the skates exactly to your size. So I've ended up with a size 9, and you can just order a size from their website. You just measure your foot yourself and then decide on the size, but I think that it's not that much more expensive to get the custom sizing, and I think it's worth it. And also there are lots of people on Instagram who have discount codes for GH Skates, so I will link a few of their Instagram accounts down in the description bar, along with the GH Skate website and some details about my skates themselves, which I'll show you in a minute. I did ask GH Skates if I could have a code, but their code always comes along with an affiliate link, and they weren't willing to give that to me on this occasion, so that's fine. But I suggest that you go ahead and use one of those codes if you want to order from GH Skates, and I haven't listed them in any particular order of preference. You just use whichever code you feel like. So I'm going to show you now the other things that came in the box before I get to the skates, because I've got to build that anticipation, you know. So firstly, we got a spare set of insoles. Now these are actually not the spare set, these were the set that were originally in the skates when I took them out of the box, and what you can see is that they have quite high arch support, which is good because, as I mentioned, I roll in a lot, but I felt I'm just not used to this level of arch support, and I feel like it was starting to make my feet ache, and I found them more comfortable with the insoles that they actually originally sent as spare. So let me show you one of those. It looks like this. So it's a bit more sort of flat and kind of more traditional insole-ish. So these were the spare ones, but I've put them in. As I get used to the boots, I might swap to these, but I feel like it was all just a little bit too much of an adjustment all in one go. Now I got the metal plate, I'll speak more about that in a minute, but because I got the metal plate, I also got some choices of cushions. I don't know that you get this if you get the compound fibre plate, but I did get it because I got the metal plate. So they also sent me, let me see if I can figure out how to do this in order. We have 70 to 75A, so these are the softest ones. Then we have 75 to 80A, these are the next ones up from that, and then I think that I have 80 to 85 in the skates already, which I'll show you later, and then these are the 85 to 90, which are the hardest ones. I am still on a bit of a journey figuring out what I like in terms of cushions. I recently switched up my cushions on my Moxie lollies, which I do also have here, and I'll refer to those again in a minute, but I'm not going to change these straight away. I'm going to see how I get on with the ones that they put on the plates already, because when you do your custom sizing, you also send them your weight and your height so that they can check that the skates that you have ordered are appropriate for your build, and so they'll have put in the cushions that they recommend for my height and weight. So I'll leave it as that for now, and then I might have to play around in future, but it's really nice that I have the option of switching up the cushions to see what works better for me. And then also, as usual with any pair of skates, you get some tools. So we have 1, 2, 3 tools, very useful, and then also some spare pivot cups as well, which is nice. Just a couple of those. I shouldn't need them, hopefully, but I have them. So spare tools, always very useful, especially because this pair of skates has some different sized components to some of my other skates, which again will make sense in a minute when I show you. So now that I have sufficiently built up the anticipation, I will show you the skates. Keep in mind that the wheels that I currently have on these skates are not the wheels that came with the skates, and I'll explain in a moment about that as well. So they look like this. They are magenta in colour. They have the gold velour lining with lots of padding in there. They're very, very stiff. Well, to me they're very, very stiff. This is one of their less stiff options. So the stiffness rating on these is a 25, and I think that they go up to like an 80 or a 90 in stiffness. I could be wrong, but that's 25 is what these are. I did opt for, so the toe caps are optional. They cost more to add them on because they are suede and it's an extra piece of suede, but I went for them because I think they're cute, and I went in the pale pink with the laces as well. And as I mentioned before, I went for the metal frame. This is the Vanguard frame. This is the Vanguard frame, the 8mm one. So they used to only have it in 7mm, which isn't as common, the 7mm on the axle. So I went for an 8mm axle so that it can still work with all of the bearings that I already have. And I also went for the, I can't remember now whether I went imperial or metric on the toe stop. I'll write it on screen. And it's the large white toe stop that I went for, which I've currently got pushed all the way in because I like having my toe stops quite high up. Just gave that little toe stop a tighten there. And this GH charm, I suppose if we call it, came just on this one wheel. One skate. So as I mentioned, I've got different wheels on here just now. So these are the Shore Grip Fame wheels, and they are in a pale pink, and I have the Better Lickety Split bearings in yellow in there. The reason I have, so these wheels are new to me as well. I did buy them in this colour so that they could go with this skate when it arrived, because this is an indoor wheel. The skates originally had these very lovely gold wheels on them, but these are a hybrid wheel and they are very squeaky when you use them inside because they're a little bit softer and they're better for use outside. I'm going to insert a clip here of me testing out these skates with these wheels, and I'll leave the sound so that you can see just how squeaky they are. Which is why I decided to swap them, because I'm going to be using them inside mostly, and I really like those wheels, but the squeak will drive me nuts. And there's nothing wrong with the wheels at all, it's just a me thing. So I swapped to these harder wheels. So the gold wheels are an 82A. They do have a hard wheel, but it's a super hard wheel, harder than 101A, and I already have a 101A and I wanted to go softer rather than harder than that, so this is a 96A, I believe. It doesn't say on these wheels what they are, but yeah, I think they're 96A, so a little bit softer but still pretty hard, very clearly indoor wheels. These are, the model of these skates is a Street Magic, but I think that what they have done, GH skates I mean, is given me the really nice sole from the Street Diamond skate, which is really nice because the Street Diamond is slightly more expensive. I went for the Street Magic for a variety of reasons that I now can't even remember. It was quite difficult to decide between the various different styles, and it looks like they have also given me the Street Diamond tongue, which is a little bit firmer, I think, than the Street Magic one. I presume that they have done that because of my weight. I'm a little bit on the heavier side, so a little bit of extra support. So the reason that I wanted to go for a GH skate particularly, because I've been skating for, I want to say, the last 9 months, basically since January, I've been skating on my Moxie lollies. And if I show you the difference in support, so I showed you before that if I squeeze this, there's really very little in the way of give, like I have to really give it some there. But with the Moxie lolly, if you just, I can literally move it with one finger and it completely folds and bends, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, but I was starting to have some difficulty in getting my edges, and I think it's partially because I do roll in so much that my feet are already naturally on an inside edge anyway. So when I want an inside edge, I was fine, but when I wanted an outside edge, I was finding that really difficult to get. So what I'm hoping is that with a stiffer boot, like on this skate, I'm going to finding those edges, particularly outside edges, much easier. And I've only tried them a little bit in my kitchen, but I already do think that that is the case. And currently the trucks are quite tight, like I can't move them at all with my hand. I usually like my trucks much looser than this. I don't think I'm going to need to have these as loose as I have my lollies, but I am going to loosen those up a bit, I think, because they're quite tight. The plates have click action trucks, which I have not had before, so I'm interested to see how I get on with that. I think it's going to be really great to be able to properly keep track of how tight or loose my trucks actually are, in a more scientific way than counting the threads on the standard truck that I have on my Moxie Lolly. This isn't meant to be a comparison, by the way, with the Moxie Lolly. It's just, that's what I've been skating on for basically this whole year, and so these are kind of like a new world to me. I've never had a skate with this kind of level of support before, which, just to show you again, I'm putting quite a lot of pressure there and it's barely moving at all. There's lots of, I don't know if you can really tell, there's lots of really lovely padding in here. It's nice and squishy, so it is very comfortable when you put it on, and it kind of feels like it's hugging your foot. I do think that my feet are going to get very hot wearing these, so that is something that I'm going to possibly struggle with, because I do get overheated quite easily for medication based reasons, so I'll have to keep an eye on that. These lollies, of course, because they're so sort of thin, my feet wouldn't get as hot as they will in these, but the trade-off is going to be worth it, I think. Let me show you the other one, even though it looks exactly the same, just it's the other foot, but it looks like this. It has blue, I don't know if you can really see, kind of dark blue bushings or cushions in there just now. As I said, I'm going to leave those as they are for the moment and see how I get on. So this is the other boot, but as I say, it's exactly the same as this one. It just doesn't have the charm, so this is why I was holding this one up. What else is there for me to tell you? I suppose I could talk about the plate a little bit. So this will be, it's technically not my first metal plate. I did have, or do have, a pair of Kaya skates, which unfortunately don't fit me, so I took the metal plate off of that and made a custom pair of skates with some Vans. So I do have that metal plate, but I haven't spent a huge amount of time on it. I suspect I'll spend more time on these skates because I won't grow out of these as I did with the Kayas. Basically with the Kayas, I bought them when I was still clenching my toes a lot while skating, and so as my feet relaxed within the skates, the boots no longer fit, which is devastating, frankly, but never mind, I've made use of the plates, so that's good. These, I went for the metal plate because it will be more durable, it will last me longer. As I said, I'm a bit on the heavier side, so I won't get as much flex from this, which should help with power transfer, and I'm really interested to see how this setup works for me in skating. I haven't had a chance to properly give them a test yet because I've only been skating in my kitchen, which is quite small. I'm hoping to get to the rink with these tomorrow so that I can give them a proper test run. I'll probably take the stock wheels with me to the rink tomorrow and I'll try out these, but I'll probably try out those a little bit as well because the music is so loud at the rink that the squeak probably shouldn't bother anybody. So I might be able to give those a try as well. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's everything I want to say. This is already quite a long video. I really am very happy with this purchase. I'm really excited to see how I'm going to get on with these skates, and if you have any questions that you want to ask me about these skates, then please do let me know in the comments. I know that this is a little bit different from my normal content on here, but skating is my other hobby, my other passion outside of reading. So if I'm not reading, I'm skating. If I'm not skating, I'm reading, you know? So it just felt nice to talk about these on here, and if you have any questions then let me know. If you like this skate content, let me know that too, and I can try to include more. I always feel a little bit self-conscious about my skating because I've been skating for well over 1.5 years now, and I'm still a very anxious skater, and so still very much beginner/novice level, but anyway, I'm really impressed so far with these, and I will keep you posted on how I get on with them. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks, bye.